They were the perfect American family. But behind those bright Brady Bunch smiles, the father was hiding a massive secret that only came to light the day he died. Plus, one of the young actors was secretly dating a co-star he never should have. 57 years later, this is where the cast is now. First is Barry Williams, who played Greg Brady. He has done more to keep the Brady Bunch alive in pop culture than the rest of the cast combined. He was only 14 when it launched. He was born Barry William Blenkhorn in Santa Monica, California, on September 30th, 1954. Williams decided to act by age 11, making his TV debut on Dragnet when he was just 13, and he was the oldest Brady brother, big enough to carry the teenage storylines almost completely on his own. Greg was the cool oldest brother who traded his trumpet for a rock band called the Banana Convention. But fans had no idea about his real life until Williams released his 1992 memoir, Growing Up Brady, which revealed he once asked Florence Henderson out when he was 15, and she actually said yes. They grabbed dinner, and he even kissed her goodnight. Henderson handled the whole thing with the genuine warmth that made Carol Brady so beloved. Williams has since called that date one of the most formative nights of his teenage years. He ended up marrying 3 times. His marriage to Marge Walcott in 1990 produced his son, Brandon. Later, his 1999 marriage to Isla Mary Matt produced his daughter, Samantha. Since 2017, he has been with his partner, Tina Mahina. He eventually toured with Branson's stage productions of The Sound of Music and Romance. He competed on Dancing with the Stars in 2008 and hit The Masked Singer in 2024 with Lookingland and Night. Now 71, he is still touring. Greg Brady was the fictional rock star who could not write a song, but Barry Williams became the real family historian, kissed his television mother once as a teenager, and he is the one cast member who spent every decade of the last half-century making sure no one forgets the magic of the Bradys. Next is Florence Henderson, the iconic Carol Brady, who had already accomplished so much by the time she landed the role, having already outrun more hardships than her castmates would ever face. She was 35 at the premiere, born Florence Agnes Henderson in Dale, Indiana on February 14, 1934. She was the youngest of 10 kids in a home barely held together by a struggling tenant farmer whose heavy drinking drove her mother away when Florence was only 12. She sang for grocery money when she was a child. A scholarship got her into the American Academy of Dramatic Arts back in 1952, and she was starring as the lead in Fanny on Broadway by age 25. By 1959, she became NBC's first official Today girl. She tasted fame twice before the Bradys even found her. Interestingly, Carol was a role her close friend Shirley Jones rejected to star in The Partridge Family a year later. Henderson spent the show's entire run commuting between Los Angeles and New York, where her 4 kids and her first husband, Ira Bernstein, were waiting: Joseph, Barbara, Elizabeth, and Robert. That marriage lasted from 1956 to 1985, and the strain of her bicoastal life helped pull them apart. Her second marriage, to hypnotherapist Dr. John Kappas in 1987, lasted until he passed away in 2002. She even earned her own hypnotherapy certification during those years, admitting that if acting had not worked out, she would have practiced it full-time. Henderson's final decade was actually busier than most actors' early years. She did Dancing with the Stars in 2010 at 76, hosted a cooking show, and launched a talk show called The Florence Henderson Show. She got her Hollywood Walk of Fame star on her 62nd birthday. On November 21, 2016, she was in the audience cheering for Maureen McCormick. 3 days later, on November 24, 2016, she passed away from heart failure at Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles at 82, with her family and friends by her side. She rests at Westwood Village Memorial Park in Los Angeles, in the same cemetery as Marilyn Monroe, Dean Martin, and Truman Capote, and Jim Backus. Carol Brady was a mother who could resolve any family issue in 23 minutes. Florence Henderson grew up in an Indiana home she was never sure she would survive, yet she spent her life giving the camera the exact warmth her own childhood denied her. Number 3 is Susan Olsen, who played little Cindy Brady. At 64, she has spent far more of her life outside of Hollywood than inside of it. She was only 8 years old when the sitcom debuted. Born in Santa Monica, California, on August 14, 1961, she was the absolute youngest of the 6 Brady kids by just a few months. Cindy was known for her lisp, her pigtails, and the constant tattling that fueled so many storylines in those early years. Olsen did not have to act much. The lisp was completely real, the baby of the family energy was real, and the script did not require her to fake anything. After the show wrapped in 1974, she got a graphic arts degree, married twice, and went through 2 divorces. Her initial marriage to surfer-turned-businessman Steve Ventimiglia did not produce any children. Her second marriage to film editor Mitch Lampley also ended. What most viewers do not know is that the woman who played Cindy Brady is actually a working graphic artist, an animal rescue advocate, and one of the most outspoken Brady alumni when it comes to her honest opinion of the show. She recently admitted she did not always think the Brady Bunch was cool while they were actually filming it. Right now, she is coaching actors at Vibe Performing Arts in Santa Clarita, California. Cindy was the youngest kid on a show pretending its cast never grew up. Susan Olsen did grow up, walked away from Hollywood on her own terms, and remains the most private of the 6 siblings. Number 4 is Mike Lookinland, who played Bobby Brady. He was the smallest brother, and the show never really figured out what to do when his voice cracked. He was only 8 when the show premiered, born in Mount Vernon, New York, on December 19, 1960, the year JFK was elected president. His family moved to Los Angeles when Mike was young to back his acting career, and he was working professional gigs before he turned 10. Bobby was the baby brother, shadowing Greg and getting the dog. But after the show wrapped, Lookinland really struggled. By his own admission, his post-Brady years went completely off the rails for a pretty long stretch. He pulled out of it. He married Kelly Wormuth in 1987, a marriage lasting 39 years. They had 2 sons, Scott and Joe. In 2002, Lookinland left Los Angeles completely for Salt Lake City, Utah, where he runs a custom concrete countertop and furniture business called Lookinland Concrete Studios. He still does the occasional Brady reunion and met up with his TV siblings for a renovation show in 2019, where the 6 kids went back to the North Hollywood house from the show's intro and fixed it up together. Bobby Brady wanted to drive race cars in 1972. Today, Mike Lookinland builds kitchen counters in Utah, raised 2 sons of his own, and built the most stable life of all the 6 kids. If you have made it this far and are enjoying the story, please subscribe. Tracking down the Brady Bunch takes weeks of real research. We verify every death certificate and marriage record before writing a single word. Your subscription is what keeps this channel going. Number 5 is Eve Plum, who played Jan Brady, and more than 50 years after the show first aired, released a memoir on April 28, 2026. She was 11 when the show started, born in Burbank on April 29, 1958. With both parents working in show business, Plum was already acting professionally by the age of 6. She even starred with Maureen McCormick in a 1966 commercial, 3 full years before either auditioned for the show. Jan Brady was the middle sister, basically, the one who was not Marcia. Her entire emotional arc got boiled down to a single line Americans still quote 55 years later. Marcia. 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 After the show, Plum made the cleanest break from her character of any Brady kid. Passing on the 1981 spin-off, she chose indie films and Broadway instead, earning major critical acclaim in several big stage plays. She married land surveyor Ken Pace in 1995, and they have been together for 31 years. No kids. Today, she is a full-time painter with gallery shows in New York, and she published her memoir, Happiness Included, in late April 2026. That famous off-screen sibling feud, which Susan Olsen confirmed in 2015, dates back to the 1970s, seems to have cooled by 2026, though neither talks about it now. Jan Brady spent 5 years in her sister's shadow. Eve Plum stepped out of that shadow at 16. She has spent the last half-century making sure her name on a gallery wall has nothing to do with the one her TV sister kept repeating. Number 6, Christopher Knight, who played Peter Brady. His life after the show has been the most unpredictable of all the kids. He was only 11 when the show premiered, born in Manhattan on November 7, 1957, then raised in California after his family moved west. He was already acting on Gunsmoke and Bonanza before the Bradys called. Peter was the middle boy, stuck between Greg and Bobby. When his voice changed, the show literally built an entire episode around it. Knight openly admitted that his salary from the show paid his family's bills entirely. Without his check, his parents would not have survived financially. The show got him to 18. What most fans never knew is that Knight quit acting at 18 and spent 20 years in tech, eventually becoming a top executive at New Frontier Media and Visual Software. He stepped back into the spotlight in 2004, starring in the VH1 reality show My Fair Brady, which followed his romance with model Adrienne Curry. They wed in 2006, divorcing in 2012. In total, he has married 4 times. His current wife, Kara Kokinis, has been by his side since 2016. They actually got a blessing from Florence Henderson weeks before she passed. Today, Knight runs a furniture company and co-hosts the Real Brady Brothers podcast with Barry Williams. At 68, he is still working. He was Peter Brady, the middle kid whose voice famously cracked on national television. Christopher Knight survived that cracking voice, 4 marriages and 2 tech careers, plus 1 reality show. He finally made peace with the series that paid for the life he is still building. Number 7 is Ann B. Davis. She played Alice Nelson, and in 1976, 2 years after the series wrapped, she sold her Hollywood home, packed up a single bag, and walked away from show business to spend the rest of her life inside an Episcopal Christian community. She was 43 when the show started. Born Ann Bradford Davis in Schenectady, New York on May 3, 1926, she was the youngest of 4 children. She had an identical twin sister, Harriet, who she later credited as the inspiration for everything she did as Alice. Her dad worked as an electrical engineer for General Electric, while her mother was a homemaker and active suffragist. In 1944, Davis enrolled at the University of Michigan to study pre-med, inspired by the female doctor who delivered her and her twin. But she switched to drama after watching her brother tour in Oklahoma. Most fans had no idea Davis had already won 2 Primetime Emmys before she ever wore Alice's blue and white maid's uniform. She starred as Charmaine Schultz on The Bob Cummings Show from 1955 to 1959. That meant 2 wins, 4 nominations, and a Hollywood Walk of Fame star on February 9, 1960, at just 33. Later that year, she replaced Carol Burnett on Broadway in Once Upon a Mattress. She was already a seasoned Hollywood veteran when the Brady Bunch came knocking. She never married, no kids. Once the show ended, she sold her Los Angeles home to join an Episcopal community led by Bishop William Frey. They moved from Denver to Ambridge, Pennsylvania, and finally to San Antonio, Texas. She lived with Bill and Barbara Frey for 38 years. She also sang in the choir at St. Helena's Episcopal Church in Burnett, eventually becoming a lay Eucharistic minister. She only returned to acting for Brady Bunch reunions and an occasional Broadway run of Crazy for You. On the morning of June 1, 2014, the Freys noticed she had missed her weekly hair appointment. They found her unconscious in the bathroom, having suffered a subdural hematoma from a bad fall the night before. Davis passed away at University Hospital in San Antonio that very day at age 88. Following cremation, she was interred at St. Helena's Columbarium and Memorial Gardens in Bourne, Texas, the same parish where she once sang. Maureen McCormick later shared that Davis had made her a better person. Alice kept the Brady household running smoothly for 5 seasons, but Ann B. Davis held a church choir together for the next 38 years, leaving Hollywood behind not because she had to, but because she just didn't see the point anymore. Then there is Robert Reed, who played Mike Brady. His death certificate did something most Hollywood actors never have to worry about. It told the absolute truth. Reed was 36 when the show started, and 41 when it wrapped up. He got the role as a consolidation prize after another network show was recast with a black lead. He spent the next 5 years writing angry letters to producer Sherwood Schwartz, calling the scripts downright embarrassing. Born John Robert Reitz Jr. in Highland Park, Illinois, on October 19, 1932, Reed studied at Northwestern University and the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in London, keeping Shakespeare close to his heart for the rest of his days. Before the Brady Bunch came along, he spent 4 seasons playing Kenneth Preston on The Defenders, starring opposite his acting mentor, E.G. Marshall. But here's what most viewers never knew. Reed was gay. He spent 35 years in Hollywood under a stage name. It gave him just enough privacy to fill prescriptions under his birth name, Reitz, keeping his health records far away from the gossip columns. He was married once, to Marilyn Rosenberger from 1954 to 1959, and they had a daughter named Karen Baldwin. That marriage was a cover. Reed never remarried, never had a public partner, and never came out. He was diagnosed with HIV in the spring of 1991, followed by colon lymphoma that November. He only confided in 2 people, his close friend Ann Haney and his daughter Karen. Florence Henderson learned that Reed had passed away at Huntington Memorial Hospital in Pasadena on May 12, 1992, at age 59. Within days, the Associated Press got hold of his death certificate. The HIV diagnosis, handwritten by Dr. H. Rex Green, leaked to the wires before the funeral. His mother Helen and daughter Karen skipped the memorial service, but Florence Henderson attended, alongside E.G. Marshall. Reed was cremated, and his ashes were placed in Memorial Park Cemetery in Skokie, Illinois, right next to his grandparents, Harvey and Elizabeth Reitz. Ironically, Mike Brady was the most idealized father on American television. Robert Reed was a closeted Shakespearean who hid his terminal diagnosis from his network, his daughter, and his country until leaked paperwork did the talking for him. Number 10 is the final name on this list, and her life after the show carried the heaviest weight of all. Maureen McCormick played Marcia Brady, the oldest of the Brady girls, the most asked about Brady on behalf of every cast member for 50 years. She was 12 when the show started, born in Encino, California on August 5, 1956, and she was already working professionally by 6, voicing the Chatty Cathy doll in commercials by age 10. Marcia was the eldest sister, the homecoming queen, the one always taking center stage, the one whose pratfall with a football to the nose became the single most quoted Brady moment in American TV history. Most viewers never knew that the actress behind Marcia spent the entire back half of the 1970s and most of the 1980s hooked on cocaine. Lost in a deep depression, she later admitted nearly killed her, skipping auditions because she simply couldn't show up sober. She detailed all of this in her 2008 memoir. Here's the story. She eventually got clean, marrying musician Michael Cummings on March 16, 1985, a marriage that has now lasted 40 years, the longest of any Brady kid. Their daughter, Natalie Michelle, was born in 1989. McCormick kept working like Dancing with the Stars in 2007 and Outsiders on WGN, Frozen in Time on HGTV, and the 2019 A Very Brady renovation with all 5 surviving castmates, and a 2025 return to the actual North Hollywood Brady house that completely broke her down emotionally on camera. She is 69 as of this recording. Today, she lives in California with Michael Cummings near their daughter and grandkids. Marcia Brady was the prettiest girl in the room, the one everything came easy to. Maureen McCormick was the kid who got those same lines, then spent 20 years finding out at the bottom of a bag of cocaine that being the prettiest girl in the room isn't the same thing as being okay. But she made it back. She is still here.